Welcome to the 2022 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this weekend edition, September 18th, 2022, Sunday, heading into the middle of the month stretch here. Please be sure to subscribe to Preach to Me for the latest financial news, 100% interpretation of financial news. Thank you for your support. Today, we're briefly going to talk about the wholesale PPI, Producer Price Index, falling, and also home sellers are dropping their prices significantly as the home and housing market begins to cool off in all sectors, from real estate, commercial real estate, the private real estate, the corporate real estate. And I'm sure you guys have seen these in many areas of the country, not just the southeast or midwest or northeast, but also out west and well. And so we're going to continue to see the softening of the market. We're going to continue to see the Federal Reserve Bank next week, actually this week, on Wednesday, raise the either by 75 basis points or 1 full point. The interest rate hike is coming on Wednesday of this week. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about first, like I said, wholesale prices fell 0.1% in August amid inflation fears. Inflation continues to be at 8.5%. It only went down 2.002% over the past 3 months as we head to summer. Now, as we head into this fall and into winter, inflation is only going to continue to be high, and the cost to produce goods, to produce a price index, is also increasing too. And so in response, we can see companies get ready for more mass layoffs, either in the tech industry, the production manufacturing industry, or even the more industries in the private sector, like the transportation, the hospitality industry, the retail industry. We can get ready to see layoffs by companies once they figure out after the report comes out after maybe late October, the end of October, the third quarter. We'll find out if we're in a negative growth GDP again. This will mark the third consecutive time that we're in a negative growth GDP. And ladies and gentlemen, that can only mean one thing. That means that we're in a a recession, heading toward a depression. But we will be in a recession. And the media, excuse me, the media and the news headlines, they won't officially declare a recession, I believe, until after the holidays. That means the Christmas and Thanksgiving holidays, because people still have hope, and we all have hope, that the holiday sales will boost some of these around the world. But around the world, prices are up, and more home sellers are dropping their asking price. 1 in 5 home sellers are now dropping their asking price as the housing market cools. This was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. The median listing price for August dropped from $435 to $435 from $449 on average. The average home sold less than its list price for the first time in more than 17 months, according to Redfin. And I'm still seeing sale for sale signs in these neighborhoods that I'm driving through in the Northeast and in the Southeast and in the Midwest. However, and it's taking longer for these sales to happen, but the sales are still happening. For sold signs are still coming on new builds, and home sites are still being built, but it's albeit at a slower pace. Homes are taking 60 to 70 days more to sell on the MLS listing. And we haven't yet seen the wave of foreclosures yet, and that's because of the moratorium on rent evictions and all that. But all that's set to expire probably during President Biden's last year in office, as the money train will have run out, and he'll realize that the Federal Reserve Bank is committed to trying to stomp out inflation. They're going to be raising rates into next year and in the year after that, to no avail, because inflation is still going to be above 5%. So, but that's another story for another day. But the main thing is this housing market, even for those of us who are not selling in the market or just have a house, the price appreciation that we saw in the last 2 years was 15 to 20%. Those days are ending. The price depreciation or price stability is happening now in the markets, and what goes up must come down, guys. High rates, quote, are driving consumers to rental properties, says Black Knight's Andy Walden. Well, either way, they have us and think the 30-year fix is over 6.5% for a mortgage. Rental in most of these big cities for a one-bedroom, rentals averaging from $1,500 to $2,000 a month for one bedroom in a decent area. And that's a lot of money to put down. So a lot of us are taking up roommates, doing Airbnb, doing whatever we can to try to survive as these rental rates and mortgage rates and everything go up tremendously. So we have pressure on both sides, pressure on the supply side, pressure on the demand side. And this what makes this different than the 1929 depression, because there was an article here by AMAC, Association of Mature Adult Citizens here. I guess it's like alternative to AARP. It says, are we on the road to America's second Great Depression? And they show President Biden looking out the window worried. I think that we are. I know many of you think that we are too as well. The difference between the 1929 the Great Depression and the second Great Depression is that this one's going to span more than 10 years. A high probability exists, quote, that the decade spanning from 2030 to 2040 will be one of lost opportunities. Just like Japan had the lost decade, America seems to be headed toward that way too. The trends we see are massive, quote, this guy says, and the momentum that they will be difficult to change. Action is imperative. We need to implement economic moves that will protect us, to fight for the good fight, and attempt to preclude the next Great Depression with hitting with unprecedented force. Well, the more we put this off, the more we know that things are going to be bad. Right now, look at the national debt as we stand. It's over $30 trillion. We just have forgiven a bunch of student loans, which is great. I'm totally for that. It's only $10,000. Most people have over $50,000 student loans if they went to a professional school like engineering, a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher, or or medicine or whatever. You're gonna have more than $50,000 student loans. So 10,000, hey, that's fine. But that's gonna add to the national debt, and it's going to add to the inflation woes. And now we're gonna get another. They're gonna try to bail out another time for the banks or for another high corporate things. Billions of dollars there are gonna be wasted, and you can see the national debt is over $30 trillion. At one point, there becomes a breaking point for the system here because the Federal Reserve, the government's only taking in so much tax revenue, as you can see here, $4 trillion, and their bills are well over, and the state debt is over 1.3 trillion, and the local debt is 2 trillion. So we're well over the debt levels for the states, and that's what's going to be. It's going to be individual states failing, not necessarily the government as a whole failing, but individual states failing, and the government's not going to have a chance to bail out every single state. And people are going to be nomads. They're going to be working nomadic jobs and try to move around with family and friends to be able to survive in the next 10 years as we go through this transition of the economy. Now, that's why I tell you guys to continue to stock up on food supply, durable food supply with Mylar bags, 20-gallon water drums. Patriot Food Supply is a great source. I don't get paid to recommend them or anything, but they do have great food sources that last a long time, over 5 years, 10 years, if you need that sort of thing available. And also, housing is number one, and security is number one. Those are the two biggest concerns I have going into the first part of this collapse, because with prices, everybody getting priced out, it's imperative that we all get together. If you have to live with a family member or take on an older elderly family member, or do that. As long as they can help you out in the household bills and household thing, then do that. Swallow your pride, be humble, do that. Or if you need to, if they have an older vehicle that they want you to keep, and transfer the title in your name. If it's cheaper to do that, transfer the title in your name instead of getting a new car and it runs pretty well, like a Toyota or something. Take it, use that, but do not get into a massive debt situation when rates are rising on every type of loan imaginable come next year. And so not yet, until after this thing blows by in the next 2 to 3 years, the prices will be able to stabilize. But right now, the next 2 to 3 years are looking at going to be high prices and low supply of services and goods, and jobs are going to be kind of few and far between, unless you're in one of the overseas countries, unless you want to move to one of the overseas developing countries where they may have more jobs as they try to raise the level of the standard of living up for those countries, up to where America and the UK and all the Europe and Australia and all these G20 nations are. So, but we gotta be here. We're gonna be prepared to continue to grow, and to continue to grow spiritually, mentally, physically as best we can. So I just want to touch base with you on that. What do you think? Where do you think the housing market is going? Has your house seen a depreciation or appreciation, or has the value remained the same? Have you seen a lot of people put up for sale signs in your subdivisions and your neighborhoods, and have you seen sales still going? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much. Have a good day. I'll talk to you very soon as the week begins. Thank you.